Hey guys, welcome to my first Tamiya build and second build ever. You can check out my other video for the unboxing and going over what's in the box. I'm going to be cutting off a lot of plastic pieces starting off right now, and we're starting off with the frame rails that's going to hold everything together, and we have Phillips head screws, and as you can see, a lot of plastic parts to cut out of. So we're going to put in the braces between the chassis rails now. Going to do that. And this is a famous Tamiya classic that has been relaunched. So this is kind of the first time I'm handling this chassis. We have some metal pieces that brace the chassis in the center and screws all around. Quite an interesting design, the first of its kind that I've seen. One thing I have to say is that all the Tamiya parts, they're in the bags, labeled properly and referenced properly in the manual. So if you have the manual in front of you, you won't have a lot of issues going through it. So right here, I'm putting in these metal pieces which will hold the front steering assembly. Next, I put in the battery cover in the back and the holder for the on off switch of the ESC. That's going on there as well. Nice for Tamiya to have thought about this in the design instead of you having to figure out where to put it. The second day, the next part of the instruction is to put in the servo mount and the servo. Can't really see it, but there's a servo mount that went in there. I'm going to put in a 6 kg servo that I have lying around into there as well. Fits quite well, and I think for this weight of the vehicle, that's quite apt. Tightening in the servo screws, and next we are putting in the ESC that came with the kit here. It's a 3S ESC, nothing special. Just gonna use the double tape that it came with to stick it on there. And now that we're done with that, we have the electronics in there. Next, we're going to put in the last metal chassis brace in there so that it holds the whole frame together. That's quite neat. I think it's quite rigid now. Next, we are going to make the linkages for the front assembly as per the instructions, and we have the rod ends as well as the actual rods themselves in the kit. So we're going to go ahead and assemble those. It was quite easy to assemble. I could do it with my hand, didn't have to use a plier, so that was cool. These links that we created will go on the servo horn that will enable the front wheels to steer, and I've got all 4 of them made now. Just attach it to the servo horn with the ball head. There it is, all done. I'm looking for a receiver and transmitter to center out the servo before attaching the servo horn. If you don't want to center your servo with the receiver, then this is a very important step indeed. Next, we are going to put some light on because it's gotten pretty dark here, and we are going to keep installing the front assembly to complete that. More plastic pieces to cut out, and this will be the hub carriers that we cut out just now. Going to assemble them with some Phillips head screws that come in the part bags. Once they're done, they will house the front axles that hold up the tires, and this is a two-wheel drive vehicle, so there is no drive shafts going to the front assembly. And we have the ceramic grease that also comes in this kit. That's okay to use with plastic, which is really good of Tamiya to provide in the kit. And in the manuals it tells you exactly which type of grease to use where. We'll put in the front axles with some grease as well, so that they are free to rotate on the ball bearing. More plastic bits and pieces to complete the front steering. And as you can see, guys, it's a really fun thing to do in the hobby that is built out by going through the whole manuals, build out the kit piece by piece, so you know exactly how each piece functions and how it was engineered and what for what purpose. And we have both the front hub carriers prepared. It's time to put them in. They also have a sway bar on each side, which was quite nice to have in the design to prevent the car from flipping over in the front. That's a very realistic touch to make it look monster truck-ish. Almost there with the front assembly. And next we install the front body post holder. It's a bit high to make the body sit high so that it clears off the wheels. It's another day, day 3 of the build, and I have to multitask a bit here, talking to my mom while I'm doing the build as well. If you have your mom or someone you love, just go and give them a hug right now, because the hobby is important, but so are the people around you who love you and care for you. Next, we'll start building the transfer case for the rear to house the motor as well as the rear drive assembly. We have plastic gears here, which also need ceramic grease on them as per the instructions. The gearbox has an outer metal cover that's made out of aluminium, but the rest of the parts that go in and around are made out of plastic. I had to take some time to figure this out because it was a bit of a puzzle. Even though the instructions were pretty clear, it was quite a tight fit, so it took a lot of time to get all the bobs and pieces matching up properly, meshing up, and then getting them to fit into the whole case. But once you line up one of the plates with all the gears, then it becomes quite simple to just close it on the top and then screw everything together. And there it is, guys, all prepared. Now to figure out how it fits into the whole chassis and how to put in the drive shafts as well. So the fitment was quite peculiar, I must say, but once I put it in, it was pretty much in there and was holding quite well. Next, I started assembling the rear drive shafts, and you need to put in some grease on them once you start so that they are well lubricated Once you have put in the grease, cut the drive shaft covers and slide them right on there so that they protect the drive shafts from dirt and stone and anything else that might come in the way. Oops, got a kiss there from the beautiful girlfriend. And then we continue assembling the rest of the rear assembly. Got some grease on my hands there. And once we've put in everything, we should put in the covers for the drive shafts as well. That will go onto the rear gearbox to get the input from the motor onto the rear drive shafts. This needs some more plastic pieces, but once we put all of this together, we'll have a placeholder for the four wheels that we are going to build on later on this build. So there we have it, the final piece being screwed on there for the rear gearbox. Now that we have the chassis complete, next step is to assemble these bright yellow shocks that come with this kit, which really look attractive in my opinion. You start with the shock body and the shock caps. Now we have to assemble these as per the instructions. So you make the shock rods with the washer that goes in, and once you do that, you need to put in a bit of the shock oil to lubricate that. Once we assemble all four of these shocks, pretty similar in design for the both front and back, we move on to filling them in. I have this shock holder, going to fill them in and squeeze out any air bubbles there. You know how to do it. We all do, don't we? And there's a bleeder on the top that you can put in before you close the cap on it, which makes sure that there's no air trapped between the cap and the shock. That's a clever design in my opinion. Now to assemble the rest of the shocks parts so that the spring can stay on. And here I have the completed shocks, and we're going to start with the rear shocks, which is really innovative, going from the side. As you can see, it looks really cool. Then we mount the front shocks. The front shocks have some harder springs than the rear, but yeah, in principle I think both of them are almost equal and look quite cool on this rig. We are all done with the shocks now. That's all cool. What we got next? I think next we install the front bumper in there. Again, Phillips head screws, M3 size, that goes all around the truck. We have also put in a metal skid plate on the bottom there. This is again a clever design to keep the plastic from getting scratched. We'll use the stock motor that came in the kit with the stock pinion as well. Going to use the motor mount that is specified for this, and it fits right in. Don't need to make any adjustment between the spur and the pinion. It's a beautiful design that enables that it fits. Next we'll build the rear body mounts. that will hold the rear of the body, and they have a few plastic pieces that mount on the back, which come out sideways. So I'm guessing the body will have the holes on the side as well. That's pretty cool to prevent the body looking unrealistic. So I like that design. Yep, we have it all assembled now and installed in the back. Fit quite well on there without any issues. We have a few more plastic pieces to put on there, and once we do that, I think the chassis part is now over. We'd start focusing on other things. Yep, the last part is this rear bumper that we are going to put on there. Fairly simple, nothing complicated. Fits on the back to protect the rear gearbox as well as the motor. And with this, we also going to cut in to our decal sheet and get the first decal out that says the Monster Beetle and put it on there on the rear bumper. Looks quite cool. I don't think we're going to need the antenna. So let's move on to assembling the wheels. We have the rims, which are golden, and then they just slide in. You don't need to put in any glue, which is quite cool. Saves you the hassle of gluing tires on. They have these pointy thingies, spiky thingies, which are meant for off-road. Looks quite cool. Gonna put in a 3S into the battery chamber, and yeah, that fits. Next, we're going to start with the body. This should be a kit in itself. There are so many small details and parts that go on this body that, yeah, it's a separate build in itself, like I said. Starting with the front piece, which houses the headlights. We have some chrome trimmings as well as some transparent plastic lenses that go on there to give that realistic front Beetle look. It also comes with a transparent windshield and side window piece that you can install in the body, again using screws, so no glues involved. And here I'm making the spotlights that go on the front of the vehicle that will have the bright light decal. Once on there, it will give it a more realistic off-road vehicle look. And now I'm going to finish this bit off camera because my camera kind of died on me, and there's a lot of cutting and decaling to do, which might not be interesting for everyone to see. So I'm going to snap to the near future and show this car complete. So 3, 2, 1, go. Check this out, guys. The body is finally done. Looks so cool with all the decals, the lights in the front, the side mirrors, the driver inside. Let me show you his face. With the steering wheel, you have the windshield wipers, and all the decals that make it look like a monster beetle. And of course, we have the car itself ready as well. Put in a 3S at the moment. Came with the Carson ESC, so I'm gonna keep using that. Oops. Push it inside. There we go. Battery's in. I'm using an axial 3-channel receiver transmitter combo from my CX24. Just a handy one. switched it on. Switch the transmitter on. Next is to switch on the car itself. Yeah. And I've put in a 6 kg servo, which should be fine for this car. It's quite light. Going with the stock motor it came with. This is a Tamiya motor, and yeah, these wheels look really cool as well. As you can see, it was fun putting them together. There's no tire glue on it, which was surprising for me, but it's still holding up quite well. Let's marry the body to the chassis. Okay, so I forgot to do one thing, which is make holes for the body posts on the side. So I'm gonna do that. Made the holes for the body post on either sides on the decals. Let's put them together now. There we go, all lined up. 3 body posts, 2 on the side, and then 1 in the front. Let's get these clips on as well. There we are, all set. Hey guys, if you liked my content, please subscribe and ring the bell icon, like, comment, and share the video as well. Thanks.